The twin suns of Vetra bathed the horizon in gold and amber, reflecting off the crystalline towers of Elindra City. From above, the city looked like a jewel suspended in the vast expanse of space. Yet even in its beauty there was tension. The citizens sensed it, though none could fully name the cause. For in the darkness beyond the upper atmosphere, shadows had begun to move, shadows that carried the promise of war. Admiral Kale Draven stood on the observation deck of the Obsidian Star, the flagship of the Celestial Empire's fleet. The vessel, a monolithic structure of black alloy, pulsed faintly with blue energy along its hull. Thousands of smaller warships formed a perfect wedge behind it, stretching across the void like a living, mechanical serpent. Each ship was armed to the teeth, bristling with energy cannons, missile bays, and antimatter projectors. The entire formation moved with terrifying precision. Kale's gaze, hard and unyielding, swept over the display of human worlds below. Vetra was small in the grand map of the galaxy, yet it had resisted every incursion for centuries. Most civilizations would have surrendered at the first sight of the Empire's might. Not Vetra. Not the humans. They will kneel, Kale muttered to himself, his voice low, yet filled with the cold confidence of one accustomed to conquest. And if they do not, then they will be made to. Below, in the crystal halls of Elindra City, the Council of Leora convened in an emergency session. The council chamber, carved from shimmering white crystal and filled with the soft hum of protective wards, was a place of wisdom, diplomacy, and debate. Tonight it was filled with fear. Councillor Saris Valen rose from her seat at the center. Her silver hair caught the light of the chamber as she addressed the council. "The Celestial Empire approaches," she said, her voice steady but with an edge of urgency. "Sensors confirm the fleet has breached the outer asteroid belt and is now within 100,000 kilometers of the atmosphere. We must act." A younger counselor, Torin Kadesh, spoke up, his hands trembling slightly. "Counselor, even if we muster our defenses, the Empire outnumbers us by everything," Saris interrupted. "I know. But humans are not measured by numbers alone. Remember that." Her words, though brief, carried weight. The Council had long relied on diplomacy, trade, and alliances to protect their worlds. Yet, in this moment it became clear. The fate of Vetra might rest not on treaties or technology, but on the courage and ingenuity of its people. Above the city, in the hangars of Elindra's orbital command station, Rylan Kane prepared his starfighter. The sleek craft, dubbed the Phoenix Talon, gleamed under the station's lights. Rylan, tall and lean, with a shock of dark hair and eyes that seemed to burn with quiet intensity, ran through his checklist. Every system online, every weapon primed. "Pilot Kane," a voice came over the comms. It was Lyra Solon, his tactical partner. "You ready for what's coming?" Rylan's jaw tightened. "Always. They may be thousands strong, but they've never faced humans like us." Lyra chuckled softly, but there was no humor in her tone. "Just don't get yourself blown up before you get a chance to prove that." Rylan smirked, leaning back in the cockpit. "No promises." Beyond the orbital stations and planetary shields, the Obsidian Armada advanced. Kale Draven's fleet moved with uncanny precision, every vessel in perfect formation, communicating through faster-than-light networks that allowed instantaneous coordination. It was a dance of destruction, rehearsed in simulations and perfected in campaigns that spanned light years. Yet as they approached Vetra, something unsettled Kale. The humans. There was an unpredictability in their movements, an intuition that no machine could fully calculate. Time and again, intelligence reports had shown humans performing feats that defied expectations. Evasive maneuvers, ingenious improvisation, and a willingness to fight even when all odds were stacked against them. "They are reckless," Kale muttered, staring at the holographic displays of Vetra's orbital defenses. "But effective." Back on the surface, Elindra City citizens began noticing the first signs of the impending threat. Shadows of warships moved across the sky like enormous birds of prey. Panic spread quickly, but so did determination. Rilia, a young technician, helped load energy cells into the city's defensive turrets. She glanced at the sky, where the first flares of energy fire streaked against the heavens. "If we die," she whispered to herself, "we die free." Saris Valen moved among the citizens, giving orders, calming fears, and reminding everyone that even in the face of insurmountable odds, they could endure. She had trained for this, not as a warrior but as a leader. And now she would lead not from behind her desk but from the heart of the storm. On the edges of the city, Rylan Kane and his squadron waited in their launch bays. Fighters hummed with anticipation, shields charging, weapons locked. Rylan took a deep breath, feeling the pull of the planet beneath him and the emptiness of space ahead. "Remember," he told his squad, "we are human. They may have numbers but we have courage. They may have firepower but we have ingenuity. And they will learn the hard way why humans fight." The first shots came without warning. Orbital drones, sleek and deadly, tore through the atmosphere, streaking toward the city like fireflies armed with death. Elindra's turrets responded instantly, energy beams lancing into the sky, exploding drones mid-flight. The sky lit up in streaks of white and orange, and the twin suns reflected off the city's spires like a battle of light itself. From orbit, Kale Draven watched the initial resistance with something bordering on curiosity. "They fight like animals defending their den," he said, almost in admiration, though his voice was sharp with frustration. "And yet, it slows us. Perhaps longer than I expected." As the Obsidian Armada prepared to strike the first devastating blow, one truth became clear. This would not be a simple conquest. The humans of Vetra, led by Saris Valen and Rylan Kane, had already made their stand. And they would not surrender easily. Somewhere in the shadows of Elindra City, Rylan gripped the controls of his fighter. Lyra's voice crackled over the comms. "It's time, Kane. Let them see what humans can do." Rylan's eyes glinted. "Let them come." And with that, the first clash of fire and steel began, an echo of a defiance that would be remembered across the stars. Night fell over Elindra City, but the darkness was anything but peaceful. The twin moons cast a pale, silver light across the crystal towers, creating long, jagged shadows that seemed to crawl along the streets. The city, usually alive with the gentle hum of energy conduits and the chatter of citizens, now echoed with the low vibrations of distant explosions. The Obsidian Armada had begun its assault, and Vetra's people could feel the weight of an empire descending upon them. Deep beneath the streets, in Elindra's hidden tunnels and catacombs, the Council of Leora convened once again. The chambers were carved directly into the bedrock, reinforced with ancient alloys and lined with glyphs that shimmered faintly with protective energy. Counselor Saris Valen paced back and forth, her silver hair catching the dim light like threads of starlight. Her hands were clenched tightly at her sides, but her voice remained steady as she addressed the council. "The Empire has disabled our orbital relays," she said. "Our communication network is compromised. They are testing our defenses, probing for weaknesses." A younger counselor, Tyran Mavek, his usually composed face pale, spoke up. "We can't withstand them for long. Even if our energy turrets hold, their numbers are overwhelming." Saris's eyes burned with resolve. "They may outnumber us but they cannot anticipate our strategy. Humans have survived worse odds than this. And tonight we will prove it." Above the city, the first volleys of energy beams tore through the upper atmosphere. Elindra's defensive turrets fired in perfect synchronization, cutting down swaths of drones before they could reach the streets. Yet even as the city's defenses fought valiantly, shadows of Empire scouts slipped past, moving like phantoms in the city's outskirts. In the orbital hangars, Rylan Kane prepared his fighter for another sortie. The Phoenix Talon thrummed under his fingers, its systems humming with energy. Lyra Solon joined him, her tactical visor reflecting the chaos outside. "They've gotten past the outer defenses," she said, her voice calm but urgent. "We need to hit their landing pods before they establish a foothold." Rylan's jaw tightened. "Then we'll give them a warm welcome. Let them see why humans fight not just with weapons but with heart." Lyra smirked. "You always make it sound poetic." Rylan's eyes didn't waver from the viewport. "It's war poetry. And tonight we're the authors." As the first squadron of fighters launched into the dark sky, the city below became a labyrinth of shadows and light. Energy fire streaked across the horizon, explosions lighting up the night like distant fireworks. The citizens, frightened but determined, joined the defense wherever they could. Engineers manned emergency turrets, medics rushed to aid the wounded, and messengers darted through the alleys carrying vital intelligence between resistance cells. In the tunnels beneath Elindra, Saris activated a series of ancient mechanisms hidden for centuries. Walls shifted, revealing chambers filled with star-forged weaponry, energy crystals, and defensive nodes that could amplify the city's protective shields. "These are our last reserves," she told the council. "We keep them hidden until the moment we must strike back." Tyran Mavek's eyes widened. "If the Empire discovers this arsenal—" "They will," Saris interrupted, "but only after they've underestimated us." Her gaze swept over the council members. "And humans are masters of turning the unexpected into victory." Meanwhile, on the city's surface, Rylan Kane and his squadron dove toward the advancing Empire scouts. Their fighters darted and weaved through the chaos, executing maneuvers that seemed impossible for machines to predict. With every strike, they disabled enemy pods, scattering troops and cutting off supply lines. Commander Voss of the Obsidian Armada watched the attacks unfold from his bridge aboard the Eclipse of Dominion. His hands rested on the command console, knuckles white with tension. "They are unpredictable," he muttered. "Every move we anticipate is countered. They fight with a logic that defies calculation." Below, citizens of Elindra watched the sky with awe and fear. Children hid behind barricades while their parents fired handheld turrets. Even in terror, the people's resolve hardened. Each energy burst that tore through enemy drones became a symbol: humans would not kneel. Not tonight. Not ever. In a quiet sector of the city, Rilia, a young engineer, adjusted the energy flows of one of the defensive turrets. Sparks flew across her hands as she recalibrated the targeting system. "Come on," she muttered under her breath. "Aim true, protect them all." She watched as a drone streaked past, only to be vaporized in a brilliant flash of light. A small smile touched her lips. "We can do this." Back in the tunnels, Saris coordinated strikes across the city. Using holographic maps, she directed citizen squads to ambush points, reroute energy to critical nodes, and cut off enemy movements. Every order was precise, every command a blend of strategy and instinct. Humans had survived countless wars by relying not just on strength, but on ingenuity. Tonight would be no different. As the night deepened, the Obsidian Armada pressed harder, sending elite strike teams into the city's heart. Rylan Kane, flying low, intercepted them with lightning-fast reflexes. Fighters spun and collided with energy blasts, leaving trails of fire in their wake. Even as they fought, he radioed the Council: "We can slow them, but we can't stop them all alone. Keep those energy nodes ready. We'll need every advantage." Saris nodded silently, watching the city she had sworn to protect. Her heart pounded, but her resolve never wavered. Humans were flawed, yes, but in their flaws lay creativity, courage, and defiance. Traits that no empire could calculate, predict, or conquer. By the time the twin moons reached the zenith, the first wave of the Empire's ground troops had been scattered. Elindra's citizens, though weary and frightened, had begun to fight back, not just to survive but to prove their defiance. Commander Voss clenched his fist again. "These humans, they are more dangerous than we imagined. They fight not just for survival, but for pride, for freedom. And that makes them unstoppable." Rylan Kane, glancing at the horizon where the Obsidian Armada loomed, smiled grimly. "They'll learn soon enough." Saris Valen, standing above the tunnels in the Council's command hall, pressed a hand to the ancient console controlling the city's defenses. "Let them come," she whispered, her voice echoing against the crystalline walls. "We will not falter. We will not kneel. And tonight, we fight." As shadows stretched across Elindra, the city held firm. Humanity's ingenuity and courage shone brightest in the darkness, defying the might of the Celestial Empire. The battle for Vetra had only begun, but already the first spark of hope had ignited. And somewhere, in the black void of space, the Obsidian Armada realized that their conquest would not be simple. They were facing not just a city but a race that refused to surrender. The air in Elindra's secret tunnels was thick with anticipation. Every footstep echoed against ancient stone, a reminder of the weight of history and the burden of choice. Saris Valen led the Council of Leora deeper into the labyrinth beneath the city, her fingers brushing over glyphs etched into the walls, glyphs older than the Empire itself. Each symbol pulsed faintly with a soft azure light, as if acknowledging their presence, guiding them toward the city's most sacred secret. "We've hidden them for a reason," Saris said, her voice steady yet resolute. "The weapons within this vault are not toys for battle. They are a last resort. If the Empire discovers them too early, Vetra could fall before we even strike." Tyran Mavek, usually hesitant, swallowed hard. How can we be sure they will even work after centuries?" Saris glanced at him, her eyes sharp with conviction. "Because we are human. We adapt. We endure. And when the moment comes, we use what must be used to survive." The Council entered a massive chamber concealed behind a shifting wall of crystal. Inside, star-forged cannons gleamed under ethereal light, energy harvesting nodes thrummed with latent power, and defensive drones rested in silent readiness. It was a vault of impossible technology, lost to time but preserved by the Council's foresight. "Behold," Saris said, her hands spreading across the chamber, "the arsenal of Elindra. Tonight it becomes more than history. Tonight it becomes our shield. Far above, in the orbital hangars, Rylan Kane's squadron prepared for another sortie. His Phoenix Talon hummed with energy, weapons primed, shields charged. Lyra Solan's tactical interface blinked rapidly, displaying enemy positions and weak points in real time. "They're getting desperate," Lyra said, her voice calm under pressure. "Supply pods are being rerouted, command signals are scrambled. We need to strike now before they consolidate their landing zones." Rylan gritted his teeth. "Then we'll give them a taste of what humans can do. They've already underestimated us once tonight. Let's make it a lesson they never forget." The city above was a battlefield of shadows and sparks. Energy fire tore through the sky as Elindra's turrets and orbital fighters pushed back the first wave of Empire scouts. Citizens had taken up arms wherever they could, engineers wielding pulse rifles, medics carrying portable shields, and children helping move supplies to safe zones. Every citizen was a participant in the defiance, every life a thread in the fabric of resistance. Below, Ceres activated the vault's defenses. Energy conduits hummed as the star-forged cannons powered up, beams of concentrated light dancing along the walls. Defensive drones rose from their docking stations, their eyes glowing red as they linked into the city's network, ready to act as both sentries and combatants. "Every move we make now," Ceres instructed the Council, "must be precise. We cannot afford errors. The Empire expects fear. We give them strategy, cunning, and resistance." Meanwhile, Rylan Kane led a daring mission into the outskirts of Elindra, targeting the Empire's landing zones. His fighters zipped through narrow canyons between crystalline spires, dodging laser fire with instinctive skill. Each shot he fired disrupted the Empire's operations, destroying supply pods and scattering troops before they could fully deploy. From the Council tunnels, Ceres watched the tactical readouts. "Kane is performing brilliantly," she murmured, a faint smile breaking through her tension. "Humans fight not just with weapons but with wit. He embodies every lesson we've ever taught them." Tyran Mavek's worry had transformed into awe. They are extraordinary. How do they do it?" Ceres's gaze was unwavering. "Because they have no formula. Machines follow patterns. Humans follow courage, intuition, and instinct. That is why we survive. That is why we fight." In the skies above Elindra, Rylan's squadron engaged a new wave of elite Empire drones. The enemy expected predictable maneuvers, but the humans twisted, rolled, and countered in ways no algorithm could anticipate. Every enemy shot that passed by was a testament to human ingenuity, every strike they landed was a declaration of defiance. Lyra's voice crackled over the comms. "Kane, focus on the central pod. That's where their command interface is located. If we disable it, their landing operations collapse." Rylan nodded, eyes narrowing. "Consider it done." With calculated precision, Rylan maneuvered through a gauntlet of laser fire, his fighter twisting like a shadow between beams. He released a series of plasma charges that struck the command pod, sending it spinning into the void. The explosion illuminated the night sky, a beacon for the defenders below, signaling the first tangible victory of the night. Back in the tunnels, Ceres felt the chamber's walls hum beneath her hands, the energy nodes responding to the shifts above. "They are holding," she said to the Council. "And now it is time for us to strike back." The vault was not meant merely for defense, it is a declaration of resistance. Let the Empire see the might of humans united. Tyran Mavek's voice was awed, trembling slightly. "It's beautiful and terrifying." Ceres placed a hand on the vault's central console. "It is hope made manifest. It is our ingenuity, our courage, our refusal to bow. Remember this, counselors. This is what humans are at their core, creators of possibility, masters of defiance." The city outside roared with activity as Elindra's citizens fought alongside Rylan's squadron. The humans' combination of strategy, daring, and resourcefulness kept the Empire from gaining a foothold. For every strike the Empire delivered, the humans had a counter. Sometimes brutal, sometimes clever, always unexpected. In a quiet corner of the vault, Ceres allowed herself a brief moment to reflect. The Empire had assumed humans were predictable, bound by fear and numbers. They had underestimated the very thing that defined humanity, the refusal to surrender, the ingenuity born of adversity, and the courage to act when all odds are against them. As the night stretched on, the vault's energy hum became a steady pulse beneath the city, a reminder that the Council of Leora held more than just tradition, they held the power to turn the tide. And if the Empire thought this was merely a small planet to conquer, They were about to learn that Elindra and its defenders were more than a city, they were a symbol. Ryland Kane, flying low above the city, radioed the council. Weapons are armed, turrets are reinforced, and the people are fighting. What's our next move? Ceres's voice came over the comms, calm and commanding. Hold the line. Prepare for the Empire's next wave. And remember, every move you make is proof that humans will not kneel. This is only the beginning. The Council's hidden arsenal is not just a weapon, it is our statement. Let them come and see why humans endure, resist, and fight. As Elindra's crystal towers shimmered under the first light of the twin suns' rise, the city remained defiant. The vault had been opened, the weapons primed, and the citizens united in purpose. Humanity's ingenuity had turned defense into offense, fear into resolve, and vulnerability into a declaration of defiance. The Celestial Empire, vast and merciless, had underestimated the humans of Vetra. And now the first seeds of their defeat had been sown. The horizon of Vetra burned with unnatural light. From orbit to city streets, the sky was streaked with white-hot beams and fiery trails of missiles. The Obsidian Armada had begun its full assault, descending upon Elindra City like a storm of metal and destruction. On the observation deck of the central spire, Ceres Valen watched the chaos unfold through a wide, reinforced viewport. Her silver hair shimmered in the reflected energy bursts, and her eyes, sharp and unyielding, traced every incoming enemy strike. Beside her, the council monitored the city's defenses, rerouting power to turrets, shields, and energy nodes as the Empire's first wave of ground troops attempted to breach the outer sectors. They've split their forces, Ceres noted, pointing at the tactical display. Orbital strikes combined with ground assaults. They're testing our defenses, looking for weak points. Tyran Mavek, pacing nervously, muttered, "They've got the numbers, the firepower. If even one of those pods lands intact, we could be overrun." Ceres's gaze didn't waver. "We fight not because we are safe but because we refuse to bow. Humans are unpredictable. That is our strength. That is what they cannot calculate." Above the city, Ryland Kane's squadron streaked through the sky. The Phoenix Talon darted like a shadow among the Empire's drones, energy cannons blazing. Each maneuver seemed to defy physics. Spinning dives, split-second reversals, precision strikes that shredded the enemy's advance. Lyra Solin's voice crackled through the comms, calm and precise. "Kane, focus on the southern pods. They're advancing toward the civilian sectors. Take them out before they establish a foothold." Ryland tightened his grip on the controls. "On it." The squadron weaved through a storm of fire, dodging beams that could melt their shields in seconds. Despite being outnumbered, the humans' instinctive maneuvers left the Empire struggling to anticipate them. One by one, landing pods were destroyed, their troops scattered, their supplies obliterated before they could even reach the ground. From the city's spire, Ceres activated the first of the star-forged cannons from the Council's hidden arsenal. Beams of pure, concentrated light tore through the sky, striking the Empire's ships in orbit. Explosions erupted in a chain reaction as supply lines were severed, and several warships were sent tumbling into the void. "Remarkable," Ceres whispered almost to herself. "Every strike is precise, every move calculated, yet unpredictable. Humans are more than weapons, they are ingenuity made flesh." Down in the streets, civilians armed themselves with whatever they could find. Engineers manned repurposed energy turrets, medics carried portable shields to protect the wounded, and messengers darted through alleys coordinating reinforcements. Even in the face of annihilation, the city was alive with determination. At the edge of the battlefield, Ryland's squadron encountered the Empire's elite strike teams. These were no ordinary drones or infantry, they were augmented soldiers with advanced combat protocols, designed to predict human tactics. But humans, with their instinctive creativity and fearless improvisation, defied every expectation. "Split formation Delta," Ryland shouted. "Draw them in, then converge on the central pod." The squadron executed the maneuver flawlessly, spinning and twisting through the air as beams of energy missed them by mere meters. With a coordinated strike, the squadron destroyed the central pod, severing command and control for the landing troops below. Chaos erupted among the Empire forces, leaving the ground forces vulnerable to Elindra's turrets and citizen defenders. Commander Voss, aboard the Eclipse of Dominion, clenched his fists. How can they fight like this? Their movements, their decisions, none of it is logical. A lieutenant replied, voice tight with tension. "Sir, they're humans. Logic alone cannot predict them." Voss growled, realizing for the first time that sheer power might not be enough. "Send reinforcements," he barked. Crush them before they learn too much. In the city, Ceres moved among the council, adjusting shields and energy flow. We are holding the line, she said firmly. But the next wave will be more dangerous. Ryland's squadron bought us time. Now it is our turn to strike decisively. She gestured to the massive star-forged cannons. Fire on my command. Let the Empire witness human ingenuity. Let them see that we do not yield. The cannons roared to life, unleashing beams of blinding energy that struck the Empire's remaining ships in orbit. Explosions rocked the sky as ships disintegrated, and debris rained down toward the battlefield. Below, the surviving troops of the Empire scrambled to regroup, but the humans were relentless. Ryland Kane darted through the chaos, taking down isolated drones, rescuing citizens trapped by falling debris and coordinating strikes with Lyra. We're not just fighting for survival, he said over the comms. We're showing them why humans are dangerous when pushed to the edge. We fight for each other, for our home and for our freedom. Lyra's voice was calm but fierce. And that, Kane, is something no empire can calculate. As the night dragged on, the first wave of the Obsidian Armada's assault was repelled. Elindra's citizens had endured, humans had struck back, and the Council's hidden arsenal had proven itself. The Empire's ships, though damaged, were regrouping and they would return with renewed force. But for now humanity had won its first victory, a victory born not of numbers but of courage, strategy, and relentless defiance. Ceres Valen stood atop the spire, her eyes scanning the horizon. We have held them off, she said softly. But this is only the beginning. The Empire will not forget this night. They will not forgive us for surviving. Ryland Kane, returning to the orbital hangar, removed his helmet, his dark hair matted with sweat. They thought we'd bow, he muttered. They thought numbers and firepower would be enough. They were wrong. They always are when it comes to humans. Ceres joined him, her presence steady and commanding. Tonight we showed them something no machine can predict. Humans fight not just with weapons but with heart, with instinct, with unity. That is what the Empire has yet to understand. In the distance, the Eclipse of Dominion and the remaining Obsidian Armada vessels retreated slightly, recalibrating their strategy. They had encountered a force unlike any they had anticipated, a force fueled by courage, ingenuity, and defiance. The first strike had been repelled, but the war for Vetra was far from over. And yet, for the first time, hope glimmered among the people of Elindra. The humans had taken a stand and they had struck back. Ryland Kane looked to the horizon, where the twin suns began to rise. We've survived the night, he said. And tomorrow we fight again. But this time they'll remember us. Ceres Valen's eyes hardened, her resolve unwavering. And they will know that humans never bow. They never surrender. And they never forget. The city of Elindra had survived its first strike. Humanity's ingenuity had turned defense into offense, fear into courage, and the impossible into reality. The Obsidian Armada had underestimated them, and that mistake would echo through the stars. The streets of Elindra City were a chaotic symphony of fire, smoke, and determination. The first strike of the Obsidian Armada had been repelled, but the cost was already evident. Shattered buildings, scorched roads, and the lingering scent of burned energy cores filled the air. Yet, amid the destruction, the people of Vetra stood firm, their resolve unbroken. Deep within the tunnels beneath the city, the Council of Leora convened once more. The chamber, carved from bedrock and reinforced with centuries-old energy glyphs, hummed with latent power. At the center, the Council's most sacred artifact rested. The core of Elindra, a crystalline energy heart capable of powering the city's defenses, or annihilating it entirely. Ceres Valen's eyes traced the glowing core, her face a mask of determination. If the Empire breaches the final perimeter, she said, her voice steady but low, we will not allow them to take this city. If we must, the core will be destroyed to prevent the Empire from claiming it. Tyron Mavek's hands shook as he spoke. That would annihilate the city. Thousands would die. Ceres's gaze hardened. And yet, if the Empire takes it intact, every world under its influence will fall next. The choice is not between life and death, it is between freedom and slavery. Humanity cannot kneel, not now, not ever. Far above the city, Ryland Kane prepared for another sortie. His fighter, the Phoenix Talon, had survived the initial waves of combat, but the humans were stretched thin. Supplies were limited, reinforcements scarce, and the Empire's next wave promised to be even more formidable. Lyra Solan's voice came over the comms, calm yet precise. Kane, Central Spire is reporting increased activity. Empire units are mobilizing for a full assault on the city's heart. You know what that means. Ryland's jaw tightened. It means we hold the line no matter the cost. Let them see why humans fight. Let them see why we cannot be broken. The city's defensive turrets roared to life as the Empire's ground troops surged forward. Energy beams tore through the air, intercepting pods and drones, while human fighters like Ryland weaved through the chaos, striking critical targets. Every move was precise, every strike deliberate, but the Empire's forces were relentless, and the city trembled under their onslaught. In the heart of Elindra, Ceres activated a series of energy nodes linked to the crystalline core. Waves of power pulsed outward, reinforcing shields, powering turrets, and strengthening the city's defenses. The light from the nodes bathed the tunnels in an otherworldly glow, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. Every human in this city has a role, Ceres reminded the council. Engineers, medics, fighters, every action counts. Every act of courage strengthens the whole. The Empire expects fear. We give them unity, strategy, and defiance. Ryland Kane led a daring mission into the Empire's advancing troops. His squadron darted through narrow streets, using the city's layout to their advantage. Explosions erupted around them, yet the humans moved with calculated precision, striking supply lines, disabling heavy artillery, and rescuing civilians trapped in the chaos. "Look at them," Rilia, the young engineer, whispered as she monitored the battlefield from a turret station. "They fight with everything they are. Not just their strength but their minds, their hearts." In the tunnels, Ceres nodded. "That is what defines humanity. We fight not because we are invincible but because we refuse to surrender. We fight because freedom is worth any cost." The Empire's elite strike units advanced toward the core, their augmented armor and precise coordination designed to overwhelm any defender. Yet humans adapted. Ryland's squadron intercepted them, using ambushes, misdirection, and sheer audacity to scatter the units. Ground forces, aided by civilians, created barricades, set traps, and turned every street corner into a defensive advantage. Commander Voss, observing from the eclipse of dominion, growled in frustration. "They are unpredictable. Every tactic we anticipate is countered. These humans fight with instinct, courage, and ingenuity. They are infuriating." On the city's surface, the citizens fought with unwavering determination. Children carried messages, medics guided the wounded, and engineers rerouted energy to critical systems. The humans' unpredictability, their refusal to be measured by logic alone, frustrated the Empire at every turn. Ryland Kane's fighters streaked toward the heart of the battle, targeting an approaching wave of elite enemy units. "Lyra, clear the southern barricades," he commanded. "I'm going in." Lyra responded instantly, deploying a pulse charge that disabled several enemy units, creating a gap for Ryland's strike. With precision maneuvers, Ryland's fighter plowed through the remaining forces, disrupting their formation and forcing a retreat. In the council chamber, Ceres pressed her hand to the core. "If the city falls, this must be destroyed. But tonight, we will not let that happen. The humans are holding. And their courage, it is unmatched." Tyron Mavek watched the tactical displays, awe in his eyes. "They're not just surviving. They're winning, not by brute force but by ingenuity, coordination, and sheer will." Ceres nodded. "That is the heart of defiance. That is humanity. They do not fight because it is safe. They fight because it is necessary. Because freedom cannot be bargained for. Because no empire, no matter how vast, can crush the spirit that refuses to bow." As dawn approached, the Empire's forces were repelled once more. Elindra had held. The human defenders had turned chaos into opportunity, fear into strategy, and vulnerability into a declaration of power. Ryland Kane landed his fighter atop a reinforced platform near the central spire. Sweat streaked his face, his hands shaking from the intensity of battle, yet his eyes shone with triumph. "We did it," he said quietly, though exhaustion weighed on his voice. Ceres Valen emerged from the tunnels, her presence commanding and resolute. "For now we have won the battle," she said. "But the war is not over. The Empire will return. They always do. But they will never break us, not while we remember why we fight and who we fight for." In the streets, the citizens cheered quietly, tending to the wounded, repairing defenses, and preparing for the inevitable next assault. The humans of Elindra had proven something vital, that courage, ingenuity, and unity could triumph over even the most overwhelming force. From orbit, the Eclipse of Dominion and the remaining Obsidian Armada vessels assessed the damage. They had underestimated humanity's defiance. They had underestimated ingenuity forged in adversity. And they would pay for it in ways they could not yet comprehend. Saris Valen placed her hand again on the core. Let this be the lesson of Elindra, she said softly. Humans fight not because it is easy but because it is right. And no force in the universe can extinguish that spirit. The heart of defiance had revealed itself, shining brighter than any weapon, stronger than any fleet. Elindra stood, battered but unbroken, a beacon to all humans and a warning to the Celestial Empire. Humanity could not be conquered. The first light of Vetra's twin suns touched Elindra City, reflecting off the shattered crystal towers and scorched streets. Smoke lingered in the air, yet amid the haze, the city pulsed with life and determination. The humans had survived the Empire's first waves, but the Obsidian Armada had not yet relented. Their ships loomed in orbit, sleek and deadly, like predators assessing their wounded prey. Commander Voss's frustration had reached a fever pitch aboard the Eclipse of Dominion. He stared at the tactical displays, fingers tightening over the controls. They adapt too quickly. Every maneuver we predict is countered. Every strike we plan is met with ingenuity. They are infuriating. A lieutenant hesitated before speaking. Sir, their coordination, it's unlike anything we've seen. They anticipate, improvise, and exploit weaknesses we didn't know existed. It's almost as if they know us better than we know them. Voss slammed a fist onto the console. They are humans, and humans are nothing but animals, clever, resourceful, and stubbornly defiant. But animals can be hunted, if you are ruthless enough. Below, in the streets of Elindra, Rylan Kane and his squadron were preparing for the next phase. Their fighters hovered in readiness, engines humming with controlled energy. The humans had learned from the previous encounters, they could not simply defend, they had to strike back. Lyra Solan's eyes scanned the tactical interface, highlighting enemy weak points and vulnerable supply lines. They're regrouping, she said. Orbital reinforcements are trying to stabilize their positions. If we act fast, we can cut off their resources and force them to retreat. Ryland's jaw clenched. Then we give them no choice. Humans don't wait for survival. Humans create survival. Let's turn the tide. The first coordinated strike was bold. Ryland led a squadron into the upper atmosphere, weaving through heavy energy fire from orbital ships. With precision and ingenuity, they struck at critical supply pods, detonating them mid-air. The resulting explosions rained debris across the Empire's landing zones, scattering troops and delaying reinforcements. From the city's spire, Saris Valen activated the star-forged cannons and energy nodes once more. Massive beams of white-hot energy tore into the Empire's formations in orbit, sending several warships spiraling into the void. Debris collided with surviving vessels, forcing them into disarray. Every move counts, Saris said to the Council. We are turning defense into offense. The Empire expected us to cower. They expected fear. They did not expect ingenuity, strategy, and courage. On the ground, human defenders exploited the confusion. Engineers rigged makeshift traps, civilians blocked key streets, and fighters moved with a fluidity born of instinct and experience. Each action amplified the chaos among the Empire's troops, creating opportunities for counterattacks that no AI could anticipate. Rylan Kane's squadron continued their assault. They coordinated with ground units, marking targets, disabling heavy artillery, and drawing enemy forces into ambushes. Each maneuver was daring, precise, and unpredictable, a signature of human ingenuity that left the Obsidian Armada scrambling. Lyra's voice came over the comms. Kane, the central command pod is exposed. If we hit it, the Empire's coordination collapses. This is our chance to shift the battle completely. Rylan nodded. On it. Time to remind them why humans fight. With a combination of rapid-fire energy cannons, missile barrages, and clever diversion tactics, Rylan and his squadron struck the exposed command pod. The explosion was catastrophic, sending shockwaves through the Empire's ground forces. Troops scattered, vehicles overturned, and communication relays were destroyed. The remaining ships in orbit struggled to regain control as the humans pressed their advantage. Saris watched from the spire, her hands steady on the console. They are faltering, she said, eyes narrowing. The Empire has underestimated us. They expected submission. They found resistance. And now, they will face the full weight of human determination. Tyron Mavek, standing beside her, shook his head in disbelief. We're actually winning. They've retreated from key sectors. How? Saris's gaze was unwavering. Humans fight with ingenuity, courage, and the will to survive. Machines can calculate numbers, but they cannot predict heart, instinct, or defiance. That is why we endure. That is why we triumph. Above, Rylan Kane maneuvered through the chaos, his fighter weaving between enemy fire. Each strike was precise, each movement calculated yet instinctive. Civilians cheered as debris from destroyed enemy pods fell harmlessly to the streets below, a reminder that the humans were reclaiming their home with every bold maneuver. The Empire's forces, though vast and technologically superior, began to falter. Morale plummeted as soldiers realized they were being outmaneuvered, outsmarted, and outfought at every turn. Voss's orders came too late. The humans were already dictating the pace of battle, turning defense into counterattack. From the council chamber, Ceres addressed the city. People of Elindra, today we fight not merely to survive but to reclaim what is ours. The Empire believed numbers alone could break us. They were wrong. Humans fight with heart, with ingenuity, and with the refusal to bow. Today we take back our skies. The city erupted with renewed vigor. Citizens repaired barricades, engineers rerouted energy to vital defenses, and fighters surged forward with determination that no machine could match. Every strike, every maneuver, every calculated risk contributed to the turning tide. Rylan Kane led the final push against the Empire's retreating units. His squadron struck with precision, cutting off supply lines, disabling command units, and forcing the remaining forces to fall back into orbit. The Obsidian Armada, though not destroyed, had been decisively checked. Ceres Valen placed a hand on the central console, feeling the pulse of the city's energy network. "We have turned the tide," she said softly. "The Empire has learned something tonight. Humans cannot be conquered. They cannot be predicted. And they will never bow." Rylan landed his fighter near the council spire, sweat and grime streaking his face, but his eyes gleaming with triumph. "They thought they could crush us with firepower," he said. "They forgot that humans fight with heart, mind, and instinct. They forgot that we never surrender." Ceres nodded. "This victory is only the beginning, Kane. But it proves a truth the Empire cannot comprehend. Humanity is more than numbers and weapons. Humanity is courage, ingenuity, and the unyielding will to survive. And that is unstoppable." As the twin suns rose fully over Elindra, illuminating the city in golden light, the humans stood victorious, for now. The Obsidian Armada had been repelled, their forces fractured, their confidence shaken. The battle had shifted, and humanity had proven that even against a galaxy-spanning empire, their defiance could change the course of war. The turning tide had begun. And once it flowed fully, nothing could stop the human spirit from rising. The stars above Vetra burned cold and distant, yet beneath them, Elindra City blazed with life, determination, and defiance. The Obsidian Armada had retreated into orbit, regrouping after the humans' relentless counterattacks. But Commander Voss and Admiral Kale Draven were not finished. They had underestimated humanity once, and now they intended to crush it with overwhelming force. Ceres Valen stood atop the central spire, the wind whipping around her as the crystal towers shimmered in the twin suns' light. Her eyes, calm yet fierce, scanned the horizon. The humans of Elindra had endured wave after wave of attacks, but the final battle loomed. This was not only a fight for the city, it was a fight for the spirit of humanity itself. "We've survived everything they've thrown at us," Ceres said to the council. "But the Empire will not forgive our defiance. If they break through, the core will be our last line. And if necessary, its destruction will ensure they take nothing." Tyron Mavek's voice trembled. "Even if it destroys the city?" Ceres's gaze hardened. "Freedom is worth any cost." High above, Rylan Kane readied the Phoenix Talon for one final sortie. His squadron was battered but alive, their resolve stronger than ever. Lyra Solon coordinated orbital defenses with surgical precision, targeting the Empire's ships where they were most vulnerable. "They think they can strike fear into us," Rylan muttered over the comms. "They think numbers will crush courage. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The first salvo came like a thunderclap. The Empire unleashed the Eclipse of Dominion and its remaining fleet in full assault. Energy beams seared across the sky, and the ground shook as orbital bombardments struck key sectors. Yet Elindra held, its shields pulsing with the power of the crystal core, every turret blazing, every fighter ready. Rylan led the squadron in a daring approach, weaving between laser fire and missiles. Civilians below took shelter, yet engineers and medics stayed at their stations, reinforcing shields, tending the wounded and coordinating defense grids. Humanity had learned from every attack. Every mistake had been converted into strategy, every fear into determination. Lyra's voice crackled. "Kane hit the command ship's ventral hull. If we breach it, their coordination collapses. Ryland's eyes narrowed. Consider it done. The squadron dove flares streaking behind them. Ryland's fighter twisted through fire, releasing plasma charges that struck the hull. Explosions erupted, tearing through the ship's outer defenses and sending debris spiraling into space. The Obsidian Armada faltered, its formations breaking under human ingenuity and audacity. From the spire, Ceres activated the final Starforged cannons. Beams of blinding energy struck the remaining fleet with precision, slicing through warships that had once seemed unstoppable. Each strike was a testament to human resolve, a reminder that courage could bend even the cold logic of machines. On the ground, the Council coordinated citizens to repair defenses, tend the wounded, and guide fighters. Every human acted as one, turning the city into a living weapon of strategy and defiance. Tyran Mavek, watching the battle unfold, whispered in awe, They're unstoppable. How can they fight like this? Ceres looked at him, her eyes filled with certainty. Because humans fight not for victory alone, but for each other. We fight because freedom is sacred. And no empire, no matter how vast, can extinguish that. Ryland Kane's squadron moved again, striking at remaining orbital relays, cutting communication lines and severing enemy coordination. The Empire's warships spun chaotically, their precision shattered by the unpredictability of human tactics. Commander Voss, watching from the crippled flagship, bellowed in frustration. They fight like they are alive. Every maneuver is impossible to anticipate. An officer responded, voice tight with fear, Sir, it's more than fighting. They are creating solutions in real time. Nothing in our simulations prepared us for this. Voss slammed his fists. Then end them. But it was too late. The humans had seized the momentum. Ground forces struck with coordinated ambushes, orbital fighters harassed the fleet relentlessly, and the city's energy core amplified every defensive and offensive measure. Elindra's citizens had transformed fear into strategy, chaos into victory, and desperation into triumph. Finally, Ryland Kane led a direct strike at the flagship. Weaving through the shattered debris of Allied warships, his fighter delivered a series of plasma charges that breached the hull. Sparks and explosions erupted across the eclipse of Dominion, sending the massive ship spinning into the void. The remaining fleet faltered, demoralized and fractured. Ceres Valen stood atop the spire, raising her hand to the skies. This is our vow, she declared, her voice echoing across the city. We are human. We will not kneel. We will not surrender. And we will never forget who we are. Ryland landed beside her, removing his helmet, his face streaked with sweat and grime, but his eyes burning with resolve. We've shown them what humans are capable of. Not numbers. Not firepower. Not technology alone. Heart, courage, and unity, that's what wins. The twin suns of Vetra rose fully, illuminating the city that had endured unimaginable odds. Elindra stood battered but unbroken. Humanity had faced the vast might of a galaxy-spanning empire and emerged victorious, proving that defiance, ingenuity, and courage could triumph over even the most overwhelming force. Commander Voss, watching the last of his fleet retreat, clenched his fists in impotent rage. This is impossible, he muttered. They should have fallen. How can they endure? Ceres turned her gaze outward, eyes firm and unwavering. They endure because they are human. And humans will always endure. They fight not because it is easy but because it is necessary. They fight because freedom is worth any cost. Ryland Kane joined her on the spire, looking out over the city. They'll remember this, he said softly. The Empire will never forget Elindra, and they'll never underestimate humans again. Ceres nodded, a faint smile touching her lips. Let them remember. Let them know that humanity cannot be conquered, cannot be predicted, and cannot be broken. This is our last vow. The citizens of Elindra cheered quietly, tending the wounded, repairing defenses, and looking toward the horizon. For the first time, the sun reflected not only off the crystal towers, but off the spirit of humanity itself, a defiance that would echo across the stars. In that moment, humanity had proven its truth. No matter the force, no matter the empire, no matter the odds, humans would endure, resist, and rise. The Celestial Empire had met its match, and the legacy of Elindra would live forever as a beacon to every corner of the galaxy. The last vow had been made, and humanity had kept it.